Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Australian Bitcoin podcast. I hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year. So we'll do another news recap episode, reviewing the news for December. We've got Alex here with me. Alex.
Hi, everyone.
How was your Christmas and your holiday?
Yeah, it was great. I've just been in Japan for 3 weeks, so I've just gotten back. Had a great time, dodged some earthquakes, dodged a plane crash. But otherwise, yeah, had a great time.
Okay, yeah, dodged an airplane. What do you mean? It was on the air crash.
Yeah,
I remember
unfortunately
now,
a couple of tragedies. Yeah, so there was a large plane crash. Fortunately, it seems like nearly everyone got out, which is pretty astounding, really. But yeah, I guess we'll learn more about that as the air crash investigation happens. And then there was also a major earthquake while I was in Japan as well. But luckily, I was in Tokyo at the time, so I was pretty far away from where it all launched off.
Yeah, I think you were visiting a friend. Did you say?
Yeah, you have a friend up at the snow, so got some snow time in, traded some fresh power, and then also just did a bit of touring around. I haven't seen much of Japan before, so it's really good.
Yeah. Was that your first time in Japan?
Oh no, I've been to Tokyo once before, but it was my first time sort of getting around and seeing like the wider, I guess, outside of Tokyo.
Yeah, I've never been, and I think everybody wants to go to Japan. It's one of those places that's very unique and very interesting.
Yeah, it's got a specific culture. It's actually, I saw on the news, it's overtaken Bali as the #1 destination for Australians at the moment. So I don't know, they're obviously marking themselves perfectly.
I think Bali's going downhill. Like it's just getting more and more overcrowded. It's going downhill, I think, Bali.
But it was still good. I enjoyed our trip.
Yeah, and how was the skiing? I've only skied once in my life. I really enjoyed it, but I'm a beginner. But yeah, I heard that apparently in Japan, it's got some of the best skiing.
Yeah, well, but when I went previously, I went to Tokyo and then out to the snow, and that was my trip. And it was epic. This time it was maybe a bit early, so we're at the snow in a town called Miyako, and it was literally we got there for the first snow of the season. It was like the day they decided to open the chairs. So it was really awesome because it was all fresh snow, but there wasn't a lot of depth to it. I mean, it doesn't affect me too much because I'm not an awesome rider aboard, but I'm happy with blue and black like groomed runs. I'm not like looking for like the crazy off-piste stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for myself, I went on a houseboat with family, with my parents and my sister, and I really enjoyed a houseboat on the Mara River. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I always wanted to go on a houseboat, and it was like my first time.
Most importantly, did you catch any carp?
Yeah, I did catch carp.
Yeah.
Heaps of carp.
Yeah. Did you take the marshmallows?
I didn't take the marshmallows. It was better this time because last time when I got, because of course you don't know, I choked before I was fishing. I ate some carp and I had a fish bone stuck in my throat. But this time, because it was on the boats, I could see the light, and I had light, so I could watch what I'm eating. So I didn't choke on the fish bones. But yeah, caught a lot of carp, caught a few other fish, got some catfish which we had to return, and like a Mara River perch, which we returned also, but mostly carp. But it was good because you can just go like jumping into the water from the boat. It was really nice. Like the water is very warm, and you can have like a barbecue with the cliffs of the Mara River in the background, and you've got everything on the boat. So like with family and had my young kids, it's like very easy and very convenient. And yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. For everyone listening, that's the magic button. If you're ever choking on a fish bone, marshmallows.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's the secret. Yeah, and after that, like for New Year's Eve, I didn't do anything for New Year's Eve again because of young children. But early on New Year's Day, I went because I was so excited about fishing after the houseboat. I went like decided to go fishing on New Year's Day early in the morning, like 5 a.m. I got to the jetty here in Adelaide, and I was thinking I'd be alone, but it was actually packed at 5 a.m. like 1st of January.
Everyone's getting in there, the first fish of the year.
Yeah. I was thinking like I was thinking everybody's gonna be partying like on New Year's Eve, so it'd be empty, but no, it was packed. With people fishing, like heaps of people were fishing. So I wasn't the only one. But nevertheless, it was a very productive session for me. I got six crabs, and one squid, six crabs and one squid. So I don't know. At least for me, I think it's a good sign. The year went off to a very good start, very productive start for the year for me. So things are looking up. I'm very optimistic about the year.
Oh, nice. Actually, here's a question: have you ever tried squid ink pasta? That's something I tried over in Japan, and I managed to get black squid ink everywhere. So, and it doesn't rub off easily as well. It's a nightmare.
So squid ink pasta.
Yeah. They're like might make pasta and use like the squid ink.
Oh yeah,
as
the
like
squid
the
ink.
sauce.
Yeah. They use yeah. I'm not sure if I tried it, but yeah, I've heard of that. They use the squid ink in the sauce.
Yeah, it gets
It's like
everywhere.
edible.
It gets
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, not great when you're traveling with only a handful of clothes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll do all this weird stuff in Japan with the food. Anyway, should we get on to the news? I feel we've done
Let's do it. Let's cut straight in. I got a handful, which I've kept secret and not revealed to you as yet. So I think maybe the biggest one for December, in my opinion, is actually the FASB accounting standards announcement. So FASB stands for Financial Accounting Standards Board. And so they basically set the accounting standards for public companies in the US. And they've announced that they will be officially adopting fair value accounting for Bitcoin for fiscal years beginning after December 15, 2024 for companies in the US, right? So it's not necessarily Australian-specific news, but maybe Australian companies and regulators will follow in the steps of the US. But here's a quote from Michael Saylor. So this upgrade to accounting standards will facilitate the adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset by corporations worldwide. So he's previously said that fair value accounting is one of the necessary steps to propel Bitcoin to $5 million. That's US dollars. And he says that that's a necessary step alongside a spot Bitcoin ETF, which we are expecting is imminent. And then also bank custody and lending against Bitcoin as collateral. So what is fair value accounting? So it basically means that during the quarterly and annual reporting that public companies have to do, that they can list the value of the crypto assets they have at fair value. So they can record gains or losses as net income, even if they haven't sold them.
Companies.
So what's that?
Companies.
Yeah, public companies. Yeah. So why is that? That seems like just what you expect, but crazily, up until now, public companies in the US haven't been allowed to recognize gains, right? So they're only able to mark down losses. So, to me, this is a big reason why you see Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy is such a dominant company in adopting Bitcoin, is because Michael Saylor is the dominant shareholder. So he is the owner and I guess the manager or director of the company. Whereas most public companies have ownership and control separated. And so that means that the people who are running the company and making the decisions are not necessarily the owners. And so they're trying to justify themselves to the owners. And when they're in a position where they can't recognize gains made by Bitcoin in the quarterly or annual earnings, they have a really, really poor incentive to adopt Bitcoin because they've got a lot of career risk in adopting Bitcoin as the managers of the company and little incentive. Yeah, so I think it's going to be very significant. Obviously, it doesn't take effect until 2025, but I think companies can voluntarily start enacting it early. That's pretty much
it. So I'm not an accountant, but the way I understand this, it's basically the rules and that kind of like the social infrastructure around Bitcoin makes it easier for US companies to hold Bitcoin. The kind of the accounting standards.
That's right.
That's kind of like my takeaway. So that's a good sign, I guess. Yeah, probably we see more and more companies follow Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy's lead and start adopting Bitcoin, and this makes it basically easier for them to hold Bitcoin.
It really changes the calculus, like the value calculus for people who are managing companies but don't necessarily own the companies, which is the majority of public companies. So if you are, the CEO or you're on the board of directors and you're considering a Bitcoin strategy, well, your job is really at risk if the shareholders don't understand why you're doing it, and being able to mark gains against the company's balance sheet is sort of like pretty crucial.
That's good. That's bullish news. Should
Yeah, very bullish news. Very bullish news. Yep.
Like number go out. Okay, I'll go on to the next item if you're happy with that.
Yeah.
So in Argentina, we done an episode where Javier Milei, the libertarian candidate, got elected, and Argentina repeals forced legal tender laws for contracts, for financial contracts. In a statement, Argentina's Minister of Foreign Affairs has confirmed the stance of embracing Bitcoin for contractual agreements. And I'm quoting now. She says, "We ratify and confirm that in Argentina, contracts can be settled in Bitcoin and also any other crypto and/or species such as kilo of steer or liters of milk." So that's the news. What's your take?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's what we expect from Milei and the government under Milei. Like, he's a Austrian economist, so he's going to be looking to basically deregulate anything as the use of money, and settling contracts is just one use of money. So yeah, it's what we expect. It's good to see. It's bullish.
Yeah. So yeah, my understanding is basically in most countries and in Argentina, financial contracts had to be done in the Argentine national currency, but now they can be settled, and financial contracts can use any currency, including Bitcoin. So this isn't a specific Bitcoin, it just means it's open. But they specifically confirmed that financial contracts can use Bitcoin, and obviously that's a good thing. Because related to this, I really believe that in a few years, maybe like in 5, 10 years, like a big part of Bitcoin will be international trade between countries. Right now, people use the US dollar for settling international trade. And I really believe that in like 5, 10 years, Bitcoin will be the kind of currency for settling international trade. Because with the US dollar, there's problems with inflation and with like sanctions. If you look up how much sanctions there were by the United States, you had like 20 years ago and now, and it's like infinitely, like 10, 20 times more sanctions. And like the thing is, with those sanctions, it makes it less appealing because countries and individuals can use it because of all these sanctions, all these rules. So I really believe that in the future, Bitcoin will be used for settling international trade, and this is kind of allowing it to use for financial contracts. It's like a step in that direction.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the more that the US dollar gets weaponized, the more obvious it is that Bitcoin's the neutral money for the world. On the Malay government, there was also another bit of news, which is that they basically asked people to declare their crypto for a lower tax rate. So there's I saw some comments on Twitter and around the place, and people weren't 100% sure what to make of it, whether it was, a bit of an attack or whether it's good. I think maybe, well, okay. So firstly, what the bill is, so that it's a new bill, and it basically offers tax incentives for those who declare crypto holdings, regardless of the origin. So it doesn't matter where you got it, you can declare it and you can pay tax on it, and it's legitimized. So it's an asset regularization scheme, allows taxpayers to legalize crypto holdings without having to document the origin. So you get a 5% tax rate when declared by March 31st, 2024, and then 15% if you're a little bit slower and declare by November 30, 2024. So, I mean, comparing to tax rates in Australia, that still seems like a pretty good deal. I think maybe the best way to think about this is, rather than an attack on Bitcoin, it seems to really just be an amnesty for having evaded hyperinflation. So if you use crypto to avoid the hyperinflation, I think this is the way for the Malay government is looking to basically declare an amnesty. The one angle where it might get concerning is if they require you to declare your public keys or start associating actual Bitcoin addresses with your identity.
Yeah, I read that I was at the Bitcoin meetup, and somebody pointed out that to me yesterday. Yeah, so the way my understanding of it is that Argentina has a big black economy section, and this law says when you declare your holdings, you don't have to declare what was the source of income of those holdings. So my understanding is probably a lot of people in Argentina earn income and they don't declare it to avoid taxes, and they put it in Bitcoin. So they put in Bitcoin so the government doesn't see that the income that they received. So this is kind of like trying to make it seems like kind of an amnesty where the government's trying to make people pay some of the taxes that they should be paying according to Argentine law, but at a lower rate, but like they declare the money they have and pay a lower tax. It's kind of, that's how I read it. So I'll go in. Next item I've got is cash in Australia. I think we touched on this in the last news, but there's something else I wanted to bring up. So Michelle Ballack, the governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia, said the share of payments made with cash in Australia fell from 70% in the year 2007 to just 13% in 2022. So it's probably even less than 13%. So basically, there's a drop of 70% to under 13% in like 15 years. So basically, yeah, cash is dying. We also said that 3/4 of Australians are now seen as low cash users.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I definitely know that most of the people that I know, most of my friends, probably they don't use cash. They don't use cash at all. So I guess those numbers definitely, they must be being propped up by a small minority of people.
Yeah. There's some kind of diehards who try to use cash. I use it 50-50 for ideological reasons. But I have to say, like, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. Like, definitely like using the card and just like swiping and you press the reader and you pay for it. And it's much easier when I'm getting cash. It's like I'm getting it out and I have to put the coins, and it's like the coins fall out of my wallet and I have to pick it up off the floor. And it's like, it's definitely it's harder to use cash. I try to do it sometimes for ideological reasons. No, I was going to say the one benefit is sometimes when you get pay cash, sometimes the vendor, if it's like a small shop, they give you a bit of a discount. Like,
yeah. Something that really stood out to me. So Japan is still like a completely cash-based economy. Like there's a handful of like large stores where you can play with card, but pretty much everything works on cash. Last time I was there, I don't think I wasn't really into Bitcoin at the time, so it was like quite a while ago. And so I guess I didn't really think much of it. But this time I was really thinking hard about just like how different it is. Like they don't have the huge surveillance infrastructure. Yeah, quite interesting to be just back in a complete cash economy for the 3 weeks I was over there. Sure.
Yeah, interesting, because you think of Japan as like a high-tech stuff, like high-tech country. You'd think we'd be using all these electronic payment methods.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why it is?
Why it is? To be honest, no. I don't know why they have not really pulled up with digital payments as much. I know I really get the vibe from Japan that the high tech narrative was really set in the 1980s and they haven't moved on a lot. Like there's some things there which are still pretty cool, but yeah, it's got a real 1980s Blade Runner vibe the whole time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but whatever happens, definitely cash is dying, and it's probably gonna die in Japan also soon enough. Because with the digital, like people talk about like CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. But to be honest, like we already have that. Like the Australian dollar is central bank digital currency, and they can like survive that. They can control. Like a lot of these measures are implemented right now because we're still kind of like in this transition period. But once everybody moves to like this electronic dollar, electronic cash, the government has control, can completely see what you're doing, because I mean, like the banks, they have to report to the government. Like implementing that with like kind of reporting systems within the current financial system would be trivial, like from a technological point of view. Like that if it's electronic dollar payments, the government really has the ability to see what you do. They can completely debunk you and like cut your life off. Like if you get debunked, you won't be able to do anything. And so it's like a very scary future actually. And like really Bitcoin is the only answer. And like even though some like hardcore fanatics might try to keep cash alive as long as they can, it's kind of like it's like a fight that's going to be lost. And
it's a delaying fight. It's not. You're not going to win.
It's not. You can only delay it. You're not going to win. But so I really think the only solution in that fight is Bitcoin. Like because Bitcoin actually does have a chance to win, and you're not fighting a losing war. You're fighting a fight. We have a chance for it to work, and like with cash. But that's all on that topic. Do you have anything else, Alex?
Yeah, I'll jump onto nothing on that specifically. I'll jump onto a new topic. The last couple of days I've been reading through and catching up on Bitcoin Optech. So if you're not sure, if you're not aware, the Bitcoin Optech newsletter is like a technical recap of, they do a sort of a monthly newsletter, but specifically I was reading through the year in review special. So if I just wanted to shout out, if you're looking to stay on top of sort of like the technical developments in Bitcoin, make sure you subscribe to Bitcoin Optech. Their year in review was a massive summary of all the key developments in the Bitcoin space in 2023. And then they also do like an audio recap on where they just discuss it on Twitter Spaces. And it's excellent. And if you ever encounter someone who says there's nothing happening in Bitcoin, there's no development in Bitcoin, direct them to Bitcoin Optech, and they will be absolutely astounded.
Yeah. I follow it. Yeah, Bitcoin Optech. I'm on that newsletter. Yeah, it's kind of technical, so it's only for people who are like more technical minded. But yeah, it's great. It's like a great summary of Bitcoin, or of what's happening in their newsletter. So yeah, if you're interested in technical information, definitely sign up for Bitcoin Optech.
I got two other sort of like semi-tech pieces. So there was announcement by Chaincode Labs that they were running a Bitcoin FOSS program. The applications for that have closed. They're only open until the 31st of December, but that's now starting. I think it's starting in a week or two. So it's a 3-month program designed to provide professional feedback to get you off your FOSS zero. So contributing to FOSS can feel lonely and intimidating. And Chaincode Labs is basically set up a no-cost program to take people through that journey. The reason I bring it up is I did both of the Chaincode seminars last year. So they also run a Lightning protocol development and a Bitcoin protocol development seminars where they talk through sort of like the technical conceptual side around Bitcoin and Lightning. They're about 6-week programs. They run twice a year. And I'd highly recommend them if you're interested in the technical side. They're completely free. Go check out Chaincode Labs.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, FOSS, like free and open source software. So basically, it's like a course on how to contribute to free and open source software.
Yeah, the one they've just announced it's sort of like the next level. So they've been running these seminars for free. They're about 6 weeks long on like the conceptual, technical side of Bitcoin and Lightning. And now this next course, which is a 3-month course that they're offering, and I'm sure they'll be offering it subsequently again and again, is to take people from that conceptual level to like how to actually make technical contributions to Bitcoin and Lightning.
Okay, yeah, great. And so I know there's many people I meet who are interested in working in Bitcoin. Just yesterday at the Bitcoin meetup again, there were some people with a technical background who were interested in working in the Bitcoin space and doing like this kind of projects and contributing. I think is a really good way to kind of get into the space and from that pick up like paid work in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're interested in going down that pathway at all, definitely check out Chaincode Labs.
Okay. So I'll move on if you're happy with that. And so the next item I've got, there was like a Ledger hack. So Ledger being a Bitcoin hardware wallet.
One of the most popular as well.
Yeah, one of the most popular. It's especially popular with like crypto and shitcoins, with people who are interested in that stuff. And so they had a hack. From what I understand, it was actually a real hack where people lost funds. From what I understand, it was around $500,000. So not a huge amount. $500,000 was lost by people. And Ledger has, from what I understand, has said they'll refund the people who lost the money. But so there was a hack. And Alex would what do you know? Do you know much about this?
I do not know a huge amount. From what I understand, it was something to do with apps like it wasn't the core Ledger product. It was to do with the apps on crypto. If you're playing around with dApps and shitcoins, then you're at risk. But if you are only using Bitcoin on Ledger, then I think you are safe from this particular incident.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So if you were just holding Bitcoins on Ledger, or even most shitcoins, I think like you were safe. So the vulnerability has been fixed. It was only there was only a small window of about 40 minutes where this vulnerability was open. And in any case, if you were holding Bitcoin, it wouldn't affect you. So it was basically some kind of JavaScript, like some kind of connector library which connects to dApps, decentralized applications for shitcoins. So that library, which was written by Ledger, that connector library was compromised for a small period of time. So people only when they were using that library to connect to those dApps, they were vulnerable for that small window of time. I think like I look at these like, okay, again, what's the takeaway from here? And like for me is it kind of proves the point that if you have like the more stuff you do, like with shitcoins and all these like features connecting to dApps and stuff like that, especially with like a hardware wallet, like your attack surface area becomes bigger and there's just more opportunity for things to go wrong. That's why if you're just, holding Bitcoin on a hardware wallet, keeping things very simple, it's much more secure. Like if you're doing all these weird stuff, there's just more opportunity for something to go wrong and to get hacked. That's kind of one of my takeaways. And the other takeaway I would say is like Ledger has a bit of a history now of these kind of security incidents. Again, like nothing major. I think if you're holding Bitcoin on a Ledger wallet, I want to tell people like I still think that's better than holding it on an exchange, and it's still like a decent way to hold Bitcoin if you're holding Bitcoin in cold storage using Ledger wallet. I think it's still decent, so I don't think people need to panic. But yeah, personally, like this again, we have a history of these kind of incidents, and I personally don't rate Ledger that highly in terms of hardware wallets. Like I would recommend people like Jade by Blockstream, CodeCard, Bitbox. Do you agree with that, Alex?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Seed Signer, maybe Foundation. Yeah, stick to Bitcoin only where possible. That'll be the safest option.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ledger, like there was a few years ago, they leaked, they were hacked and they leaked customers' physical addresses, which is like a big vulnerability exposing the customer's physical address. It's like a security vulnerability, essentially. And, if a company that's supposed to be specializing in security, for them to get hacked and leak the customer's like physical address is a bad sign. That was a few years ago, and now this, and there were a few other small incidents. And just looking at that company, they're very popular with the shitcoin people, but that's what to me their focus seems to be at doing all these.
It's perverse incentives. Like,
yeah,
there's so much money available to be rolled in through shitcoins that once you go down that path, I think it's going to be very difficult to turn back.
Yeah, they focus very much on making it. Yeah, they focus very much on making it very easy to use, and it's kind of easy to use. But they also focus on having all these capabilities for shitcoins in terms of shitcoin support. It's not like a coincidence that the hardware wallet with the largest shitcoin support probably has the worst track record on security, right? Like, is that a coincidence? I don't know. But yeah. So I think it's also, just to conclude, in my opinion, it's still okay if you're holding Bitcoins on a ledger, but I personally don't rate them as high as some of the other hardware wallets.
Do we want to beat down on Ledger just a bit more? Do you want to talk
sure.
to the tracking? I was saying, do you want to talk?
Okay,
talk
yeah, sure. Yeah. So there's okay, yeah. Another thing I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another thing about Ledger, so somebody like analyzed the code of a Ledger Live application, and Ledger Live is what you connect to with the hardware wallet, and basically there's heaps of tracking code in there. And basically they track pretty much everything when you connect, how long you connect to, what kind of cryptocurrency you have, how much you have it. Like they track all that data for the users.
The giveaway, I mean, this is only recent news that this one's analyzed the code, but the giveaway that people have pointed out previously is Ledger has always been very proud of the amount of cryptocurrency that their devices hold. And people have always said, hold on, how do you know how do you know how much Bitcoin or your customers are holding on your devices? And now we know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so they track all that stuff. And apparently, like, you can turn that tracking off, but it's on by default. But there's an option to turn it off. Ledger is not my favorite hardware wallet.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said before, though, it's not time to panic. If you've already got a Ledger device, it's fine. It's just going forwards. If you're looking at buying a hardware wallet or changing up your setup, maybe consider someone else other than Ledger.
Yeah. So that's it. Do you have anything else? Anything?
No, not specifically on that. I've got a couple other ones. Oh, here's a fun one. OpenSats grants long-term support to Tobin Harding. So shout out to Tobin, who's one of our regulars at the Bitcoin Bush Bash and just an all-round legend. He works on Rust Bitcoin, which is sort of like it's a Bitcoin library which supports projects like Fedimint, LDK, which is one of the Lightning implementations, BDK, which is a wallet library that's used by quite a few projects as well, and then also Electives, which is it's basically node software. So why is this important? Well, developer grants, they're normally only about 6 or 12 months long. Being given developer like long-term support by OpenSats just means that developers don't have like the uncertainty around, how they're going to pay their bills. If they only got funding for 6 or 12 months, it becomes very difficult. And then, as they come to the end of their funding, they're obviously very distracted thinking about what they're going to do in the future rather than actually working on improving Bitcoin. So congrats to Tobin. Great to see.
Okay, yeah, congrats. So another piece of news I've got is concerning Tether. So Tether is the stable coin. And so there's two kind of related news about Tether. So one is Tether has confirmed that they work with the US agencies like Department of Justice, the FBI, and such. But they work with them. And so Tether has said that the partnership has yielded significant results. As I'm reading this, as Tether informed, approximately 326 wallets with a value totaling $430 million has been frozen in direct collaboration with these agencies. Yeah, what do you make of that?
It's definitely concerning. I think there is something to be said just for the size of Tether. Like Tether is just ginormous at this point. So you can only get to a certain size before, you're going to become a large target. And I think Tether's been being chased by the US government and probably every associated agency for a while now. So I think compromises were always going to come at some point. Yeah, but it is concerning. You want them to hold out as long as possible, but yeah, at the end of the day, they will be targeted just because of their sheer size and influence.
Yeah, but it's because they're centralized. That's the key difference between Tether and Bitcoin. You can't really do that with Bitcoin because it's decentralized. Like Tether, like that's why we like Bitcoin. That's why that's why we're so passionate about Bitcoin and why we think Bitcoin has a future, because ultimately people want to use a money that's not controlled like that. And the difference is, Tether, it's completely centralized. So you're obviously going to have to comply with what the US government tells them. There's a company behind it. With Bitcoin, there's no company. There's nobody to go to. There's no Bitcoin CEO that can comply. Like Bitcoin is mined everywhere, in China, in Russia. There's nodes everywhere around the world, so that are processing and validating transactions. So it's not really possible for the US government or any other government to do that, which is what makes Bitcoin so valuable, because that's the key value. It's permissionless money. And I think it kind of shows the contrast of this kind of, that to me shows the contrast between Tether and something decentralized and permissionless like Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and going back to what I said earlier also about, I believe that in the future, countries would do international trade in Bitcoin. And it is because Bitcoin is this kind of permissionless, neutral technology. Like just like the internet, it's like decentralized communications. Bitcoin decentralizes money, decentralizes payment, and like looking at the like geopolitical what's happening now, like with all the sanctions. There's countries, for example, like Russia and India. They're doing a lot of trade. Russia sells oil to India, and for that Russia gets Indian rupees, which it can't do anything with Indian rupees, because what's gonna do, it has a shit ton of Indian rupees, but then if it wants to buy something from China, it can't really use Indian rupees to buy something from China. And normally, like countries in that situation, that's why they use the US dollar, because the US dollar is kind of like a global currency that everybody used, because you can use it everywhere in the world. But now that kind of global currency aspect of US dollar is going down because of excessive inflation and devaluation and of the currency. And because of the sanctions, obviously there's more and more sanctions. So the answer is Bitcoin, and it can't be like censored, it can't have sanctions, and this isn't a statement of moral judgment, like whether bad actors. It's like the internet, like bad actors or good actors use the internet. We're using the internet now. There's pedophiles who use the internet to communicate, but because the internet is permissionless communication, and Bitcoin is permissionless money. And I think in the future, I really see like in 5, 10 years, I really see countries doing international trade using Bitcoin as we move away from the dollar, because there's no other alternative. Like if you're not using the dollar, like Bitcoin's the best thing.
Yep, absolutely agreed. On to the next item.
I think that's probably it. That's it for me.
Okay.
I think we've made it like reasonably long. But yeah, do you have anything last to finish off on?
Yeah, well, it's not a recap from the last month. It's actually forward looking. I actually don't know if you want to talk about this yet, but so Australian Bitcoin Week. So we've got the Bitcoin Bush Bash in Beechworth, which kicks off Australian Bitcoin Week. So it'll be 16th to 17th of March in Beechworth, Victoria. No cost, no tickets required. Just show up, have a great time, and you can find more info about that at the website bitcoinbushbash.info. And then so Hardblock sponsoring Bitcoin Alive. So that'll be finishing up Bitcoin Week. Be on at the Roundhouse at the University of New South Wales, which is in Sydney, and that'll be on Saturday, the 23rd of March. And there'll no doubt be a whole bunch of satellite events during the week in the lead up around Sydney, and then also we'll have the big finish up on the Sunday as well. So get excited. You can get tickets at bitcoinalive.io.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. So we're sponsoring Bitcoin Alive. So that's like a paid conference, and it should be in Sydney. Obviously, we'll be there. And there's the Bush Bash, which is like a smaller free event, but a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure I've been in the past, and I'm pretty sure I'll be there this year also. Like great, very casual atmosphere. Yeah, cool place to meet people. So yeah, if you can, I highly recommend it. So I think we can finish up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and if you liked some stuff or you think something we could improve, feel free to give us feedback, and see you next time.
Thanks. Catch it.